Onto this story now. New vehicle sales rose a modest 1.7% year-on-year, but fell month-on-month as the unrest hindered economic activity. The cost to the industry is estimated to be 3 billion rand. Joining me now to talk more about this is the National Association of Automobile Manufacturers of South Africa, CEO Mikel Mabasa. Mikel, many thanks for your time this afternoon. Before we get into the month-on-month activity in the automobile industry, talk us through the trends around vehicle sales throughout this year. There has been a bit of a bounce back from the hard pandemic days that we saw in 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2021 has been absolutely decent compared to 2020. And we are very excited that when we started this year, 2021, we saw a very good rebound. Because as you recall, last year was a very depressing year because of the beginning of COVID-19, which was really underpinned by level 5 lockdown that took us more than 5 weeks of complete shutdown, particularly in terms of vehicle production, vehicle exports, vehicle imports, and certainly also new vehicle sales in the country, because those are the 4 key performance indicators upon which we check and measure whether the health of the industry is still robust or not. So this year has been absolutely pleasing, and we are very pleased with at least the first 6 months of this year, and we've seen a very, very strong rebound from January up until the end of June this year.
Right, and then last month, those violent protests, looting, the destruction of property and assets happened in parts of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, and no doubt that had some dire implications on the industry. There were images and videos that were circulating around dealerships and manufacturing plants that were being destroyed and burned.
Yeah, absolutely. I think July was a very depressing month for the industry, particularly because you'd recall, Rofhiwa, that 64% of what we are currently producing in South Africa goes out of the country as exports. And we are exporting our vehicles and components to 147 different markets around the world. And we obviously have 7 major OEMs that are producing vehicles in South Africa. 4 of those OEMs were impacted directly and also indirectly, because we've got 3 of those 4 in Gauteng, which is Ford, Nissan and BMW, and then also Toyota, which is based in KwaZulu-Natal. And we obviously use the N3 corridor as the main artery that really helps us to be able to transport these goods and services between the 2 provinces. And unfortunately, because of the N3 corridor was closed for a very prolonged period of time, that obviously had a very huge impact on our capacity to be able to export vehicles out of the country, particularly during the month of July, as a consequence of the unrest. And I think as a result of that, we've seen obviously a number of vehicles burned down. Our vehicle carriers in terms of trucks were also impacted very negatively. The dealership network also was closed as a result because vehicles were not able to be bought from those particular vehicles, dealership networks as a result of the unrest. So there has been quite a very huge impact on the industry, and we are still obviously counting the cost as we speak, so that we can really be able to quantify the actual loss, for the industry as a whole, not only for those that are in the province of Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, but also in other provinces, because the fact that KwaZulu-Natal was not able to bring in vehicles, it also impacted on other provinces as well, because Limpopo, Northwest, Mpumalanga were also not able to get their vehicles on time because those vehicles were not coming out of KZN.
Right, and then a final thought from you very briefly, the impact of Transnet, that cyber attack that brought operations to a standstill at the country's ports, basically. Surely you're going to see an impact on your exports, not maybe in July numbers, but going forward in the next period that might be reflected quite strongly.
Yeah, absolutely. So any movement and any disruptions to our ports of entry, particularly Durban, because Durban is definitely one of our major ports of entries, not only in terms of our exports, but also in terms of imports, because we definitely import quite a number of vehicles into the country. We also import quite a number of components and parts that we are using in our vehicles in terms of our production lines and also in our aftermarket, business. So any disruption of any kind does obviously have a very huge impact on our capacity to be able to make sure that we keep, the wheels turning, as it were, within the industry.
Many thanks for those updates. That's the National Association of Automobile Manufacturers of South Africa's Chief Executive, Mikel Mabasa. That's it from the business desk. For now, we will keep bringing you the latest. For now, it's back to you, Bradan.